Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening, watching to the show. Welcome to Business Growth Insiders. This is episode number 19. Lisa, I can't believe we're 19 already.
We are to 19. That's great. Quite an accomplishment, Jeff.
You know, it really is. For those that are like me, that really like to take their sweet time doing things these days. Yes, it is amazing that we were even able to accomplish 19 episodes. But let's get right into the show. I'm super excited to have Erika on the show today. Erika Bryant is the owner and business advisor for Piece of Cake Marketing. She helps her clients find and keep their customers so they can get back to the parts of the business they love. Her experience ranges across industries, from entrepreneurs and small businesses all the way up to the Fortune 10. She helps businesses get clear on how to move forward with their marketing and show up in a way that makes their business flourish. Helping others is one of the things that makes her happiest in life. She lives with her lovely husband and darling 3-year-old daughter in McKinney, Texas. Erika, how are you today?
Hi, doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. Happy to be number 19.
All right. It's a great number. 20, it's played out. You know, we're more excited for 19. So tell us a little bit more about you. What's life like in McKinney, Texas, and what's Piece of Cake Marketing all about?
Yeah, I moved to Dallas, Texas from the Atlanta area 10, 11 years ago now, because I wanted something new in my life. And when I was looking at Dallas and a couple of other areas I was thinking about moving to, the thing that drew me to Dallas was the amount of opportunity from a business standpoint here. There's a ton of Fortune 500, 5,000 companies that are based here, and we have a really great, I figured in marketing I could do anything and work with any company, which has proven to be true. So about 8 years ago, I started my first company, The Social Pursuit, and had a real problem with the naming. People thought all I did was social media. And so about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, I started Piece of Cake Marketing, and that really resonated with what I do. So I help people understand marketing principles and activate marketing in their businesses in a very easy way. I want everyone to remove the barriers and feel like marketing is very easy. So through that, I do a lot of marketing advisory services. I do some done for you stuff where, I'm actually in the trenches getting my hands wet with that. And then I also do groups and courses for people who want kind of like a done with you approach.
Okay. That's great. You're certainly covering your bases. What's your sweet spot from a business perspective? What are the companies that you really enjoy working with?
Right now, I've been working with companies that are under 10 million. For me, it's very easy to make a huge impact in that arena because they have some idea about their brand, they have some idea about things they want to do, or maybe they've tried a few things and may or may not have been successful, or maybe they want to scale that success. So it's really easy for me to get in there and try a few of the tactics that I use with a lot of my clients, and then also story brand all of their stuff so that they can reach those goals. When we get over 10 million, you start getting into a lot of different other things that are going on with the business, like politics and bigger teams and all that good stuff. And so being that I've worked all the way up to the Fortune 10, I have experience across all those different places. So this is my happy spot.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Erika, you mentioned, you make marketing simple. And that is one thing I think most business owners, small business owners dread, is they dread marketing because we've got digital marketing. There's so many different types of marketing. So you have developed a methodology or a framework that I think is, when you hear it, you think, well, of course, but actually doing it is, it's mind-blowing that you've come up with this. And when you hear it, you're like, okay, tell us a little bit about how you developed the framework and then maybe flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah, last year I went to a meetup of a couple of other marketers that I'm in a group with, and I declared that I was going to start showing up on social media more for myself. And what's interesting is I had managed so many companies' social media and grown it for over the years. It just completely turned me off. I was like, I'm so tired of doing social media, no more. So I neglected to do it myself, which meant that I wasn't showing up in my business. So I would sit at my computer and nobody would know that I was sitting at my computer. Open the doors, they will come. It's not really a marketing tactic. So I declared that on August 27th of last year. And I started showing up on LinkedIn and showing up and showing up. And what happened, nothing happened for 90 days. I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to keep doing this. And what happened, like December 1st, I started getting so many people asking to do business with me, which made my marketing or my sales really much easier, because prior to that time, I had to do a lot of outreach and I had to do a lot of the different marketing tactics too. But what I realized, when I would show up and give, and then show up and ask, then I would win, right? And people would do what I asked them to do. So in reflecting on that framework, I realized it's not about just showing up and giving and asking. You've got to know what you want from your business, and you've got to know what you offer. So I kind of put a nice little pretty bow around this framework and have been talking about it for the better part of this year, actually for this entire year. And it's really great. So it's the Piece of Cake Marketing Formula for Success, is its name. And it goes like this: know what you offer, know what you want, show up, give, and ask. And so when you do those 5 things, you have people that come to you and are asking you what you can do for them to help them solve their problem. If you skip out on a couple of those things, there's problems that can arise. You have to do each of the 5 parts of the formula.
All right, well then let's get into those 5 parts of the formula, because that's why you're here and that's why we're listening. So let's do it. So number 1, know what you want.
Yes. So you can create a business, and it might be a business that you don't love. And what an awful thing for you to have left corporate America and started this whole business and then create something that you hate again. So you really have to examine the things that drive you. Know the things that set your soul on fire. One of the things you need to know is who you want to work with, like you asked me earlier, but also you need to know who you don't want to work with. And sometimes that's through trial and error. Sometimes that's through, defining that marketplace for yourself. There's a formula that Alan Dibb writes about in the one-page marketing plan called the PVP index. And when I'm coaching a lot of the people that have joined my masterminds, all the business owners, and they come up with some questions about, should I pivot my business? Should I take it in this direction? I generally point them towards that framework. So the first thing is you rank all the different ideas that you had on your personal fulfillment. So that's in your know what you want bucket. You rank it on the valuableness to the marketplace, and then to the profitability factor, right? So if you had, let's say, a wedding photography, this is the example he uses in the book. Let's say you're doing wedding photography. You're not quite sure if you want to go into portraits or senior photos or family or whatever. You would take each of those segments and then rank them on each of those 3 things: personal fulfillment, value to the marketplace, and profitability. And you will find your answer. And therein you can create a business that you love.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Know what you offer.
Yeah. So a lot of people will think about the things that they offer, and they'll talk about it in benefits, or they'll see some marketer somewhere, and they'll hear that, oh, I need to talk about it in this way or that way. And I believe there's 3 key things that we need to talk about when we know what we offer. A lot of people talk about it in the woo, right? So I do marketing. Well, what that does is it puts the onus on the person that you're talking to decide what that means for them. If you say I do marketing or I do marketing services, somebody may interpret that as being SEO. Well, I don't do SEO, right? So I've got to be very clear and tangible with what it is that I'm offering. Yeah. The second thing is an aspirational identity. So in order to know what you offer, you need to know what change you actually provide for people and how you move them through that change. So what is it that they are going to get after working with you? And then the third thing, besides the tangibility and the I just forgot. The tangibility and the aspirational identity is the benefits. So what benefits does that thing provide, right? So when you have a really solid offer with all those 3 things, and then you go to market with man, you have a killer offer. The biggest mistake most people make is they don't bring it into the tangible. But you can't forget the benefits or the aspirational identity. Otherwise, you're not landing great. So if you feel like your offer is not landing, it's probably because it's not tangible enough. What thing are you exchanging? What deliverables are you giving them? What thing are you going to give them in their life to make it better after they do business with you?
Right. I mean, and that's because people don't care about what you do. They care about themselves, and we all do. And so when you're discussing an offer or trying to come up with one, great thing to also what's in it for them, because all anybody cares about. So when you're talking about, features and this, and nobody cares, what is it going to do to change them? What does it do to change their lives? All three of us provide marketing services in different ways, right? I do Facebook advertising and I do social media to a point. I also do search engine optimization where, you don't. So how does that change things really? So you have to be very specific about what you do and who you do it for. Otherwise, like you said, people are going to be left to come up with their own opinions on that. And you never want to leave something like that to chance, because you're really, really you're blowing the opportunity to earn that business by doing so. And even if it's not business right there, it's referral business, which is huge, and we all know that. You have to be able to, to do the one-to-many and be able to, to get people to refer you. That makes sense, obviously, and we can discuss that later. But I still want to, keep going with your framework here. Up next, number 3 is to show up. Is that correct?
Yes. So you want to make your products and services available to people without forcing it on them. And this is where people get really weird about, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be salesy. Oh, I'm cringy. And so I just tell them to show up and give. And when you show up in the places that your audience sits, then they understand that you're there. They understand what you can do for them, etc. So a lot of people ask me, what does my audience want? What should I be showing up for? Where should I be showing up? And the answer is really, they want insights, they want stories, they want examples and things like that. In the book Marketing Rebellion, I think the guy's name is Mark Schafer. He talks about the most human company wins. And that's so true, because when you show up and you show up authentically, then people want to do business with you just because they see you, they hear you, they know you, and you build that know, like, and trust factor. In the book Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley, he talks about his formula for, and clearly I have like a bajillion formulas, but he talks about his formula that's actually based on Google's Zero Moment of Truth research that was done a couple of years ago. People need to see you in 4 different locations, have over 7 hours of content to read from you or binge from you, and have 11 interactions with you to increase that know, like, and trust factor. They're more likely to buy from you if you have those 3 things. And so if you don't show up and all you're doing is showing up in your home office, of course, right now, but wherever you are at, if you're just working in silos or not showing up for people and showing them that you have an offer that can help them, then you don't exist to them, which is kind of a cold, hard truth. It's like, oh man. And another thing I like to tell people is, you can show up on these platforms that you're on. You could show up on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or all that same, but you need to be careful about who owns your data. So if you don't own your list, you actually don't own your business. So you can show up in all those places, but you better convert them to an email list too. So I talk about where you should be showing up and all those different things when I talk about showing up in your business.
Yeah, this is huge for me. Key. First of all, I'm way more into there's no B2C, there's no B2B anymore. It's H to H, right? It's human to human. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And you've heard that over and over again, but until you start to kind of get that clarity as to what that really means in a business, being authentic, but also being everywhere. A lot of people in the marketing world now call it omnipresence, right? It's a big phrase, it's a big trendy phrase that everyone's using, omnipresent, but there's a reason for that. So if somebody comes to your website and they read a little bit and then they leave, they're gone, right? Or are they? So are you retargeting them with Facebook, with having that pixel on your website? Are you retargeting with Google? Are you retargeting them with LinkedIn? Brilliant little strategy I saw from a B2B guy, an H to H guy, if you will, who if you go to his website and peruse, he'll hit you with an in-mail on LinkedIn, and that's his retargeting campaign. It's brilliant. And all he does is ask you a question. It's a paid ad through LinkedIn that goes into your messaging section, and it's a question. So he's just trying to, get you to start that conversation with him. I love it. Absolutely love it. And it's exactly what you're talking about. You got to show up. You got to be everywhere. But I think as marketers specifically, we kind of struggle with that because we're always doing that for everybody else. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so how do we do that? And I think it's through, having people like you to help us, right, Erika? Because, you have a mastermind group for people like me or like Lisa that can come in and you can hold us accountable to these types of things so that we make sure that we're always staying on our own marketing instead of just providing marketing for everybody else. But anyways, I'll get off my soapbox for now. Let's move on. You're preaching to the choir right now, and I'm like, amen. All right, let's move on to number 4, give.
Yeah. So when you show up, most people ask me, well, what do I talk about? And they're not quite sure where to go. And, the question that I get often is, well, if I show up and I give, I'm giving away my whole business. I'm giving away the secret sauce, right? So how do I actually show up and give? There's a formula for that too. So you show up in the, I know, right? You show up in the what and the why, and then you sell the how. So what I like to do is I like to get my handy dandy whiteboard over here, and I write down everything that I know about a particular topic of whatever I'm launching. So for instance, I launched an email marketing masterclass earlier this year, and I got out my whiteboard. I'm like, what is everything that I know about email marketing? And I wrote it all down, and then I pulled things that were what email marketing was about and gave that away freely. I pulled things out that were why you should do email marketing, and I gave that away freely. And then when it came to the how, I was able to hold some of that back and put that as part of my paid program. And so people were really convinced as to what it is they needed to do, why they needed to do it, and now they just needed to know how, and they were going to buy that from me. So that's how I approach everyone's business. We want to look at, we don't want to give away the farm. We want to give generously and give as much as we can. And I believe that thoroughly in my business. But I also understand, the need for holding some things back to really get into the nitty gritty. When people know what it is they need to be doing and why they should be doing it, they are much more likely to buy from you than if they are just presented some, just offer, oh, hey, buy this thing. Well, what exactly is it and why should I be doing it? So that seems to work really well. So you can show up and give and show up and give. Everything you do needs to ladder up into what you sell. So if you're doing random acts of marketing and you're showing up and you're just talking about random things, people are confused as to what it is you actually offer. So I use Meera Kothand's 1-hour content plan to organize all my content and ladder it up into the thing that I offer, so that when people look at my LinkedIn or they look at my Facebook group or all these different places that I show up, it makes sense to them what it is that I do and why they should be doing it too.
What was the name of the author?
Meera Kothand, Meera, and then Kothand is Kothand. She's phenomenal. She's got a couple of really great books. They're like $1.99 on Amazon, and I'm just hooked.
Well, Erika, we're obviously going to be listing all these titles in our show notes for our listeners, so we'll have that available. But I really think that it really makes sense. And this is why you convert so readily, is because you're following an easy to follow plan that makes sense to them. The relatability factor is so important. I think a lot of times marketers or business owners want to put on this front of being perfect. Well, we're not perfect. And so you're very hard to relate to. So when you show a little crack in the armor or show that you are human, people have that relatability and you become relevant to them. So very good points.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's crazy? My top performing posts on LinkedIn are all personal stories. So the other day I posted something about, I was actually writing a sales email or replying to somebody who was looking to get on my calendar. And I had written the line, let me know how I can help. And afterwards I was like, oh, I don't want to, no, that's not the right thing to say. And why is it cringeworthy? Because I don't want them to have to figure out how I can help them. I want to just tell them. Right. And so I wrote about this, and I wrote, what I wrote instead was, I can help you in these 5 ways. If you want to get on my calendar, here's 2 times that might work for me. And I posted that short story on my LinkedIn, and I only have about 1,500, 1,700 people on my LinkedIn. It's gone over 3,000 views. So I'm reaching outside of my target now because I had solid content, right? It's got 50 something likes and 11 comments. And, that's great because people are seeing that. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody get on my calendar this year and say, hey, I saw what you've been doing on LinkedIn. I love it. They never once interacted with the post. They never once commented, nothing, but they got on my calendar, which is what I wanted them to do. And they scheduled an appointment and we talked about it. And they mentioned, oh, I love what you're doing on LinkedIn. So that's another thing. A lot of people will give up because they aren't seeing any traction from it. But my suggestion is just to keep at it. And your likes and comments are great, but you really want them to, if they did the thing that you wanted them to do, show up on your calendar, then you win, right?
You do win. And that's, I mean, this is some tremendous knowledge here, guys. I hope you're paying attention and listening. But she's saying that not commenting, okay? They're not liking posts, but they're watching and they're reading and they're still getting on her calendar because she's giving away that what and that why for free. I actually took that note myself. As marketers, we can always be, learning and teaching each other, things that we do. And it's just being able to simplify things to a point is just brilliant and genius. And I'm certainly going to be doing more of that myself. Those personal stories, though, on LinkedIn, they're key. And I really like what you said there, where, again, you're not trying to get them to have to think too much. This, like what you said before, like here's what I can help you with. Here, get on my calendar. This way people go, yes, I need help with that. How can I help you? Well, okay, and that's great. I get it. Like everyone asks how they can help because that seems to be the right thing to do these days. But what you're saying is, I'm going to help them because they've already interacted with me to a point. So I know that they're interested in one of these things that I actually do. So here they are. Let's get into it, and not making them, forcing them to think anymore. Because what did they do? That you're leaving them to come up with something that may not be at all what you do. And then it just becomes a waste of time. Really, it really does. Our time is the most valuable asset we have. So, I mean, not that we want to insult anybody, but it could be a waste of time for them, for you, from whomever. But let's get into the ask more, because I really, you kind of went in there, during the give portion, but really, like, get into the ask. I think a lot of people, that they've heard provide value, and no one's ever taking the time to actually have the right calls to action in place. I see it a lot in email marketing specifically, and a lot on social media too. Everyone's either asking all the time or they're not asking at all. So what's your suggestion there? What's your framework? Because at this point, I'm just the marketing chemist, because you have a formula for everything. So that's your new name. You can use it. Just quote me twice, and then it's yours, I believe is the way they say it.
Yeah, I'll change my LinkedIn profile right after we get off this call. Yeah. So, what do you want this person to do with all this information is really what you're trying to get at, right? So they're watching you, and you don't just show up and ask every time. That's really not you. It's kind of like the formula goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, right? So you got to show up and give, and then you earn the right to ask. So what you were talking about with those spammy asks, where people just show up and ask and they forget the give in between, that's used car salesman. Nobody wants to do business with somebody like that. In fact, you may win a few people over like that are just already primed and ready to buy, but generally that's not a really solid marketing strategy. What you mentioned is a lot of people fail to get the ask, right? They show up and give and show up and give and show up and give, and then they don't ever ask, and then they wonder why, I'm spending so much time and I'm doing all these great things and I'm doing all my email marketing and I'm doing, but they never ask. And so you've got to ask people to do what you want them to do, and they will. So the StoryBrand framework says, that if you give people a simple plan on how to get the thing that you're asking for, then people will actually do that thing. But until they know where to go and what to do, and it's not clear, then you can't. So additionally, I want to make the comment of, don't forget about your existing audience. So a lot of business owners will get on my calendar and they'll say, I want to grow my business. I need new customers. And I'm like, well, what have you done to keep the customers that you have right now? What have you done to sell more to them? You've got to show up and give an ask to the people you've worked so hard to get into your zone of influence, right? So don't forget to show up and ask the people that have already bought from you. Chances are they're almost 80% more likely to buy from you if they've bought from you before. So what that looks like is a lot of email marketing, maybe some surprise and delight. There's a lot of really great strategies in Joey Coleman's Never Lose a Customer Again. He has a phenomenal book about that too. So if you wanted to dive into that. But yes, so know what you want in your business. Know what you offer, make it concrete, talk about that aspirational identity and make it hit home for them. Show up and give in all of your zone of genius, and then ask, and you will grow your business. And how do I know that? I do it in my business. I coach all, 35, 40 people that I coach. I coach all of them to do it. They all do it. They come back to me and they say, look what happened. I did this and look what happened. Just this week, I coached one of my people into sending an email with a template and giving something away for free and teasing an offer that's coming up later. And she's already got one person interested in a program she hasn't defined or launched yet, right? So when you do that and your audience has been paying attention to you, man, you put out the offer that resonates with them and they are going to take it.
Yeah. And I think, Erika, you bring up this point because really all people are looking for is they're looking for a guide. How about that? They need help. You're the expert. They don't know what they need. So when you say, let me know how I can help, well, that's what they came to you for. You know what they need. So by suggesting here is how I can help and making that ask, you're really getting them to the point where they can be much more successful than if they came to you for something random. So
absolutely.
Good. Bravo to you. And I actually had one of those situations, Jeff, this week where I took Erika's suggestion, took a big gulp, and it paid off. So,
well, that's why she's the coach, right? I mean, you have to take that advice and run with it. Obviously, Erika, you're very well read. You're very intelligent with marketing. You have a lot of formulas, and that's for a good reason, because formulas and frameworks, they work, and they work for a reason because you stick to that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a process, a standard operating procedure for everything. And kudos to you and bravo, because you obviously have got that down. And if you've gotten Lisa's attention, you definitely have that down. She is a very, very busy lady, very busy. All right, so I mentioned this before, and I want to bring this up too, so that you can discuss it. We talked a little bit about the one-to-many relationships, and I really want to kind of get into this. So for people that are business owners, again, right now we're still tail end, hopefully, of the COVID pandemic. So we're still all pretty much at home. There's some online Zoom networking and so on and so forth, but there's still business owners out there that have no idea about one-to-many. They don't understand joint venture partnerships and things of that nature. So can you speak on that?
Yeah, so one of the places you can show up and give is to the peripheral businesses that exist outside of your business. So what that might look like is if you're a CPA, you want to find somebody who has the same clientele as you want, right? So what is your target market? Look at that and see who has that target market. So if, let's say you're a CPA, you might want to go talk to some lawyers or talk to your lawyer friends who serve that same audience. You might want to go talk to some financial advisors. Certainly you don't want to ask somebody to do this if you're a competing audience, right? I think I have an abundance mindset. There's enough for everybody, and everyone can win. So you don't want to overstep that. You want to empower people who are in your same area, because we'll all collectively win. But what you would do is you would reach out to those other people and tap into their audiences, whether that's sending them an email pre-written just to send to their audience and making it as easy as possible for them to make that recommendation, or giving their audience some kind of offer. I was working with a canine academy earlier this year, and I suggested a couple of things to them. Right, they offer dog training services, and the peripheral businesses around them are, the dog treats, places, or people that sell collars and, boutiques in the area, or veterinarians and things like that. So they went forward with a veterinarian campaign and tried to build up that referral network. The great thing about these one-to-many relationships is your marketing efforts can be way more human, right? Because you're talking to that one-to-many, and the referral, the personal referral from somebody, they've already built up that trust with your potential customer. What's better than a personal referral, right? So there's lots of really great things there. You could also create a talk trigger. So Jay Bear has this really great concept called talk triggers, where it's the best word of mouth possible, right? So it's the thing that people are going to talk about your business. And if you spread that talk trigger over to these peripheral businesses, it makes it easy for them to remember who you are and what you do, and they can recommend you. So tapping into those businesses is phenomenal.
Okay, and and what you just said obviously goes back to, you have to know who you are and what you do, and you have to be specific about that. Those talk triggers that she's talking about from Jay Bear, that's specific stuff. I mean, we could have made that, say, elevator pitch. Kind of sounds familiar there, Jay. But yes, it's the same kind of thing where it's you have to have the right keywords. I'm an SEO, so I'll use that phrase. The right keywords so that people can trigger exactly what it is that you do and who should be the one helping them. So when we all go networking, it's like what trigger word should I be looking for when I'm speaking to my clientele that I know then I should be referring you that business. Well, you don't need people to ask you that. You should be the one that has that information readily available so that you're able to send that to these people. The three of us are marketers, but I'm an abundance mindset. Lisa's an abundance mindset. Lisa just referred me, somebody to expand my network, and I'm beyond thankful for that referral and that partnership, and it's growing and it's wonderful as it is. And that's we all have to be able to do that. I need to do that back to Lisa now because that was a good referral. Anyways, so we're coming up. We're past our 30-minute mark, which is awesome. You've been amazing. You provide so much amazing value to me. I mean, I don't know about anybody else listening or whatever, but
she has.
I'm great. Like, I'm good. I've got so much to work on myself and my business, but it's amazing. I'm so thankful for you for this show. Sure. Do you have any kind of promotional offers? Do you have anything out there that people can get from you to learn more about how, what, and why? Right?
Yes.
On your website or anywhere else, or you're great on audio and video. So are you going to be doing your own podcast or anything like that?
I am, yeah. So my Piece of Cake Marketing Insights podcast will be structured a little differently than most podcasts. Most podcasts like yours drip out once a week. I don't think I have the attention span for that. If I'm honest about my own stuff. So I wanted to wrap it all up into one season, right? So I'm going to have a season 1 will be all about the framework. And so there'll be an intro kind of similar to the way we've talked here. And then I will actually break out each of those 5 sections into an episode. And then I have a whole bunch of people lined up to talk about their success with my framework. So you don't want to miss that. You can go to bit.ly/POCMI podcast. So Piece of Cake Marketing Insights podcast, and sign up for the waitlist there, and you'll be the first to know when it launches. You can also visit my website, pieceofcakemarketing.com, and I have a Facebook group, Piece of Cake Marketing Society, if you want to look that up.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, obviously people we'll have all of this information within the show notes. The show notes will be very busy this week because there was a ton of value, as John Lee Dumas would say. There's a ton of value bombs. I don't speak like a surfer dude, so I'll back off that. But yeah, that was amazing. Lisa, is there anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just encourage people. You know, one thing that you'll notice about Erika is she catches people's attention. She attracts the people that are a good fit with her. So when you sign up for her free discovery call, it's not a 30-minute, it's not a 60-minute, it is a 28-minute discovery call. So when you read that, you're like, okay, well, there's a reason behind that. So it really catches your attention. She is well worth the time to have a discussion with Erika. I can personally attest to that. And Erika, we just thank you so much for taking your busy time to be on our show. I know if people are listening to this driving, they're going to have to pull over and take notes or replay. Just so much great information. So we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was great to be here, and you guys are awesome to hang out with on a Friday.
Thank you. We try hard. You know, I need to work on my background. My wife's been killing me about putting some like bookshelves back here or something. Y'all have like these pretty backgrounds, and I've got a white wall with a spotlight behind me, so it looks like I'm glowing. You know, I'm very angelic.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
This is behind the scenes information that no one else needs to know about, right? But this is human to human. This is being transparent, if you will, right?
Right.
How we have to do things. So Erika, thank you again for being on the show. Everybody listening, please subscribe, comment, share. This video will be on all of our social media platforms as well as YouTube. You can always watch us live on Facebook or on YouTube. StreamYard, which is what we use for this whole thing, has added 3 different streams. So now we are everywhere, and we are waiting for LinkedIn to get back to us so we can start streaming on LinkedIn, because that will be huge. Make sure you all follow Erika on LinkedIn as well. Try and connect with her. I know I am as well for these stories, because this is the stuff that I eat up. I love it. And until next time, take your business
and grow.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.